there's a lot to be sick and disgusted about in the conservative world right now. There really is. It's a lot. It's too much for some people. But there are little nuggets that come along, little moments of, what these popcorn moments for you and I, where we get to watch these assholes gnaw each other's ankles. Now, this next clip, I don't know if we're going to get all the way through it because it's 11 minutes and I kind of don't give a fuck, but I think we just need a taste of this. Steven Crowder, if you don't know, is a right-wing shock jock pretending to be a streamer. That he was better. He was born in the wrong time. In the late 80s, he should have been on, radio opposite Man Cow. And now he does politics because that's where the shock is. But all that aside, Candace Owens, on the other side of things, is a miserable, backbiting Hitler apologist who tried to lure Kanye into buying her husband's company and then fucked the whole deal. Never forget, she's the one who talked Kanye into wearing the White Lives Matter shirt that started the whole media tornado that spun him out and lost him $2 billion fucking dollars. Now, Kanye will never, I don't know if he'll ever, without meds, have a way of finding his way to recognizing that fact. But she knows, and her husband knows, and I guarantee they've thought about it. Okay, so, not that I give a fuck, it's hilarious. But this is, Steven Crowder is also the guy who does the, feminism is a cancer, misogynist, whatever, prove me wrong, or, change my mind. The change my mind things. He goes to college campuses, sits up at a little card table with a microphone, and then just has these like street debates with people, hopes they turn into a shouting match because of the sign, and then posts them as how unhinged everyone is. So, the title of this Candace Owens one is Steven Crowder is a Drama Queen. Unlike George Santos is a drag queen, I suppose. But so these are two rising young stars in the right-wing schlockosphere, and they're upset with each other over something.
Big story, and I got tons of tweets from people asking me about Steven Crowder. People were saying, you need to speak out for Steven Crowder. Candace, blink twice if you're under duress. All sorts of comments like that, and I had no idea what they were talking about. I
just wrote something. I told him to go fuck himself. I didn't know what it was about. I don't really read things through. My job is to be reactionary. So also I was on my way to a ball, as you can tell from my outfit.
Obviously then went to Steven Crowder's YouTube page and I saw a video that he had put up, and he was discussing a company who were essentially offering him what he thought amounted to a slave contract. And it was very heavily implied throughout that the company was the Daily Wire. He said it wasn't the Blaze. He said that there were ad reads, that the company offered him a lot of money, and that he wouldn't sell out. It was this super, I'm a martyr and I'm not selling out to you. And the comments reflected that, yay, Steven, you're a hero. Before I even give you my feedback.
Full disclosure, I did sign that same contract, and here I am sitting in a room by myself at some rando studio on the Upper West Side or something, and the only thing I was able to get out of the contract is that I have to be able to dress in Melania's decisions.
Feedback. Let's just hear Steven in his own words.
Big tech is in bed with Big Con. The people you thought, the people I thought.
Big Techer is in bed with Big Con. Big conservative? Or, I don't know. By the way, Steven Crowder, I'd like to say for the record, he's got a gun on his desk right here. Most days, because they're sponsored by Walther PPKs or whatever the shit, he wears an actual holster with a gun in it. Possibly because while he considers his co-hosts and text friends, one of them might lose their shit and try to murder him at some point, so he has to be ready at any time to shoot one of his own employees.
We're fighting for you. A lot of it has been a big con. Now, I'm specifically avoiding naming names or going after individuals in this video because I genuinely hope that those I'm addressing, and you know who you are, have a change of heart. Don't sign these contracts. I now know what you are signing out there. I have the luxury of not having to. Let me go through this. If any.
Okay, so, and she's doing these cuts. She's tightening this stuff up and jumping around. So she's taking out any context that he says. And the reason she knows it's the Daily Wire is because she signed that contract. And also, the Daily Wire is scooping up the other talkers. There, basically, there's the Blaze and the Daily Wire, and are trying to like snatch up all the online streamer folks with promises of like ad money and shit like that.
Any of the major platforms issues a content strike such that Crowder cannot be monetized on such platform, the fee will be reduced by 25%. And then another 20% of it happens on Apple. And then another 10% of it happens on Facebook. And then another 10% of it happens on Spotify. And then if you get
So basically, his complaint is they're trying to turn him into Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, for the most part, I don't think he's ever been put in Twitter jail or in Facebook jail, and he knows how to keep his bullshit inside the lines. He knows how to color inside the lines. And he's boring, and it's dry, it's fucking lubeless nonsense. Crowder's entire mythology is based on being so incendiary he gets cut off. His mud club, his mug club, his club of muddy people or whatever that he does. That's where he makes most of his money. People sign up as as members to that. So he built his own Daily Wire like thing for when he gets booted, and they live stream for an hour, I think, on YouTube, and then he bounces over to Rumble. So that's when they can kick off and say whatever the fuck they want without getting thrown off the site. This contract says that if you get bumped, they can cut your pay. So it's basically a leash for somebody like him. It's not a leash for Ben Shapiro, because Ben Shapiro is a warm cup of piss, effectively just sitting on a table. As long as you don't bump it with your elbow or try to take a drink, it's no harm, no foul. And as long as he can stay, that warm piss can stay inside the glass, he's got nothing to fear. So Crowder's not wrong that his show would be destroyed if he signed this.
Then if you get a strike, meaning a suspension, another 20%. Just to drive it home. You get hit by a car, you have a sick day, you could lose $100,000 a day. This is what's sent out to everybody.
All right, so you get the gist of this. It is a super predatory contract, and like I said, he never explicitly said the Daily Wire, but it was very clear that he was talking about the Daily Wire, because how many organizations do you know are big enough to offer him, Steven Crowder, what he should, or around the range of what he should be paid? That.
And also, is that a copy of her contract? And she's like, motherfucker, I signed this?
Does ad reads. Obviously, it's not going to be Fox News. It's not going to be PragerU, their 501c3, or Turning Point USA. And
first of all, it could be a new contract for a streaming service from fucking, what's the Sinclair Media. Sinclair Media is branching out into streaming services. It could very well be them. Of course, it's the caller. And I don't doubt that the Blaze is, after watching the Crowder thing, I guarantee they are changing the nature of their contracts to reflect that for anybody new they bring on.
And he mentioned explicitly that it wasn't the Blaze. So to me, it was sort of like he said, the Schmaley Schmeier, but I'm not naming any names. And
yeah, the Schmaley Schmeier. That's what we all call him. Is that what we're calling the caller these days, the Daily Wire these days?
I'm going to tell you two things that I thought. First and foremost, to give something a name like the Big Con, obviously, it was mudslinging. And if this was the Daily Wire, which I wasn't entirely sure.
By the way, he wasn't calling it the Big Con. He was saying Big Con, as in big conservative, like the larger establishment conservative movement, I would guess. But it's not his fault that conservative starts with con, and people use that in a multitude of ways.
Sure that it was, but as I said, it was heavily implied. Then he also threw mud on me. He threw mud on Matt Walsh. He threw mud on Michael Knowles. He threw mud on every single person, Brett Cooper, that works for Daily Wire, by implying that we are signing these contracts, and he is heroic for not signing it, and pulling out excerpts of the contract to say basically we're beholden to big tech, right?
Mm-hmm. So I think the easiest answer here, and I think you guys would agree with me, is if she just say the Hitler thing again. Say, just go further down that road. See how much of that you can say on YouTube, and if your video gets taken down. And then, by the way, wouldn't it be hilarious? And I'm not trying to help Steven Crowder out here at all, but wouldn't it be hilarious if Crowder hit her with a copyright strike because it was specifically dealing with a business he is a competitor with, and that they're using it to demean his show as opposed to add content like I do when I talk over these things. And he hits them with a copyright strike. Her video gets taken down, and then she sees that her contract said the same thing.
And I don't like that. If you want to rev up your engine and fire up your big truck, don't get mud on my car, right? That's my thing. If you want to go to war, keep me out of it. At least say this was a contract that was offered to me. He kind of makes this plea. And again, people were just on board with it. But I will also be honest that I was a bit disturbed. Like I said, heavy accusations that this is how the contracts are being handled. This would mean and imply that I was working for an organization that...
By the way, have we established that he actually named her? Or is the idea that because she understands that it's the Daily Wire, because she works at the Daily Wire, he's shitting on her by proxy, by pissing on the contract? And not what he's doing, but he's telling other people that they seem to be coaxing into this to not do it. Meanwhile, she and Matt Walsh and the other dickheads she mentioned, all those folks have already signed this contract, so now they're getting all fucking nervous.
Is not acting in the capacity of how I would like them to act, right? Or acting in good faith toward the talent, and it felt predatory. So the first thing that I did was I reached out to executives here and was like, what is this? Are you guys going to respond to this? I want to know whether or not you're actually treating people poorly behind the scenes, because it matters to me. It's always mattered to me. Okay,
totally matters.
You can speak to
so matters. It matters so much. That's why my co-host. Oh, I'm alone. That's why the people, like the audience that I have here, I make sure that I'm by myself. I worry about the guests that I'm talking to myself.
Any organization that's ever worked with me, I have a very good reputation. I maintain friendships with everybody. I do.
Unless they have unless they really feel like Hitler was a dick, in which case they probably have left with a bad taste in their mouth.
I don't personally know Steven Crowder. To be honest, the first time I ever had any correspondence with him, he was a bit of a dick to me.
By the way, you can always count on Candace Owens to shit talk other conservatives kind of at random. I'm just saying, it's kind of a nice thing. Like if she gets her tail stepped on at all, she will go after these assholes. And by the way, you and I, we kind of don't care. This is just prurient silliness. I'm just watching this happen. By the way, this is supposed to be when the Republicans took over Congress after the red wave, and the right wing especially were firing on all cylinders. It's time to take fucking Biden to the fucking bank. It's going to happen. And then this shit. It's so nice. Do you have enough popcorn? Do you want to go pop some more? Can I give you a break? You won't miss anything.
You can bleep that out, whatever. But he offered me online to come on the show. I said yes. And an hour later, he lied and said that I canceled, and I never did. And then he corrected it and said, we got confused. And I just thought that's pretty crappy that you publicly tweeted. At the time, I think he had more followers than me, that I canceled on your show.
Yeah, he doesn't now, though. Okay. He doesn't. He had more followers than me then. He doesn't now. You know why? Because when I joined the Daily Wire, I got an instant boost in followers. Everyone magically who follows the Daily Wire account automatically was following mine. And it's not because they're not real, and it's not because they're a watch farm in India.
Show, and I never did. But anyways, I never met him in person, and I think he's tremendously talented, and I laughed all the way through his election night coverage. So I didn't really have a horse in this race, and I wanted the Daily Wire to respond to it. I said, you have to respond to this. This makes us all look guilty. People are now thinking...
No, it doesn't make you look guilty. No. Shh, doesn't make you look guilty. Makes you look dumb. Yeah. Or craven. Or craven and dumb. I'm going with craven and dumb. It makes you look craven and dumb.
I signed a contract with this. Like, I sold my soul to the devil. This is the implication here.
No, no, there was no indication from him that it was the devil. It was simply that you were willing to have the Daily Wire put a leash on you and stay within the yard in doing your show.
So Jeremy Boring, the co-CEO of Daily Wire, did in fact...
Great name for a show host, The Boring Show. It's good. He digs down deep into the true depths of boredom.
Give a response. Actually, a thorough response, a 1-hour response last night, which I watched later than my bedtime, I would say. And
well, the Daily Wire does have a bedtime in an inner contract, so, you probably shouldn't say that on the air.
And he went through the contract that they offered Stephen.
Oh, it's exciting. This is super exciting. Really? Why don't you just show us the high points of it? Oh, so
line by line. Again, it was an hour long, so I absolutely cannot play it right now. It would cover the entire show, but you should take the time and you should watch it because
yeah, you should, especially if you're going to sign a contract with a Daily Wire. Can you imagine? The living fuck is going on? That's how great things are going in the right-wing media sphere, in the YouTube and vlogosphere world. That these motherfuckers are having a naming no names tit for tat that results in one of the fucking hosts, the main host of the Daily Wire, having to go line by line through a fucking contract as an hour-long episode. Jesus Christ. And I thought it was hell going through the fucking Mike Pillow videos. I'm almost done with this. It's twice as long. We're going to cut out of this because this is fucking stupid. That's how bad it is. I think it's poetic justice that we just decide this is intolerably stupid.
As he adds clarity and he expands. He goes through
Thank you for adding that clarity about something none of us give a rat fuck about.
the entire contract. There could not have been more transparency. He goes through the entire contract that was offered.
Great. So that to her, not the one to Crowder, because he makes way too much money. So they would have to give him a bigger contract and put more limitations on it. And if anybody else buys into it, they'd be one for one. He might have read her contract because what choice does she have?
And it allows people to actually discern what really went down. And what really went down,
What went down? What was the inside scoop? Oh my God, this is so Harry and Meghan.
according to Jeremy, and I'm very interested to see what Stephen's response is
Why would he respond? He didn't even name drop the fucking Wire.
that Stephen became a free agent. He left the Blaze. The Daily Wire offered him a contract, a huge contract, by the
Okay, so it was them. He didn't want to shit talk them, but they took it personally, and now they have admitted that they were the ones that offered him a giant contract, which at any point, if he says anything that they don't like, they can cut his pay in half. From a number that he already gets. What are you talking about?
way. $50 million they offered him. First, they said, we won't even talk unless you offer a big amount. But Daily Wire came back and offered $50 million.
Oh, shit. This is the inside scoop. $50 million. That's Hassan Abid money.
And then Stephen's agent wrote back that they wanted $120 million. So basically, you
Like a motherfucker. Agents, how dare his agent say how much they want? And by the way, they said 50. His agent called back and said they want 120. And what are we about to find out? That was a number. And they sent him a contract over.
wanted $120 million over the span of 4 years, which, by the way, pretty unrelatable. Okay, this was last year. I think
Like he deserves. By the way, I think it was a kind of piss off number more than likely. But
Jeremy said this all went down in September of last year.
oh my God, this is such a fresh wound. Are you okay?
And then Jeremy went back and said that there was no way that they could afford that. Months passed, and I don't know, Steven Crowder, New Year, New Me, popped up in January and was like, actually, it's New Year, it's New Me, and F you, Daily Wire. I'm not okay with the fact that you even offered me this contract in the first place. By the way, it was a term sheet, not a contract, okay? So
Yeah, okay. So it's just broad strokes. Fuck your life.
Steven Crowder is relying on the ignorance of people who don't know how business work.
Yeah, like his viewers and your viewers and Daily Wire viewers. That's mean.
Okay, who don't understand
No, I don't know.
and that this is how it works. They put an initial offer on the table,
Which we all know is bullshit.
and then what happens is you go get your lawyers, and they go over every single line, okay? So my contract with the Daily Wire took us 5 months to negotiate. Lawyers
Yeah. No one, okay, let's start. It's me, a laptop. No one else is in the room. I don't even want camera techs. You can cut it later. I just want one camera in one place and one over here, and just like Ben has. I want my own caramel version of Ben Shapiro, Ben Shapiro's set, and then I want to come in, kind of slapdash throw something together. I must hold a pen so it looks like I was writing something, and I need to be able to shit talk my fellow Republicans and praise Hitler every so often. Cha-ching, done.
Here's going over every single line. They got me a term sheet. I said, no way to this. Here's what I'm saying. They say, no way to this. And then I say, no, and you go back.
Are all of your lawyers on either side 3 years old?
Back and forth. And this is just business negotiations. It's nothing personal, okay? And of
It kind of is, though, isn't it?
course, if I did not believe in something that I was signing or I thought it was disadvantageous, we talk it out. And they explain their logic, and I explain my logic and what my fears are. This is totally normal in the capacity of contracts.
Yeah, fuck you. This is fucking. I'm not watching anymore. This is horseshit. 11. That dude did an hour. She did fucking 11 minutes just on this. Jesus Christ, what a mess. The Daily Wire is a fucking dump. Thanks for shining a light, Candace Owens, on what a career death trap that shithole is, and how gullible and childish your attorneys are and their attorneys are, and how, like, Steven Crowder gets to have a broken clock moment, and one of his two, and it happens to be not joining the Daily Wire because it's a dump run by toddlers who post videos shit talking their own. Oh God, can you imagine, like, if Stephanie Miller and, like, Randy Rhoads were at it, reading each other's contracts on the air? Jesus Christ. Oh, it would be sad if it wasn't so funny. Good luck. I wish you well in your new business endeavors over at the Daily Wire. Oh my God. They have $50 million to throw in a fire. Yeah, well, no. He would bring an audience with him, and they know it. He's got a huge crowd, and they know they would make they could make something of it. By the way, at that number, even at the 50 mil point, with the Daily Wire, he would be making more. I'm pretty sure he would be making more than Tucker, which is, I think, the purpose of the number. But you're also doing a lot more show. Tucker rolls in, he makes $9 a year or something like that, and then they give him extra money for the Fox Nation shit, and they pay for the production and fly him all over the place, so it's like a perk thing as opposed to an actual paycheck. Yeah, the next Joe Rogan, or exactly. So he can be bought and put in a corner and fade into the background of where he's literally on people's podcasts promoting his podcast because Spotify bought it, and now its reach has started to collapse.